Hey, second grade scientists. This week we are continuing our unit on life cycles and we're focusing on chickens. If we were at school right now, we would have real chicken eggs in our classrooms and we would get to watch them hatch. So I'm going to try to do my best to help you still get to enjoy that kind of learning, even though we're not at school together. First of all, chickens are birds, and birds lay eggs. Eggs come in all different sizes, shapes, and colors. Look at some of these awesome photos. Let's see if we can figure out what kind of birds made each of these eggs. Do you see the blue eggs? One must have already hatched because there's a brand new baby bird right in the nest. It doesn't even really have feathers yet. Any idea what kind of bird lays blue eggs? Now do you see the speckled and spotted eggs right here? Aren't those cool? What kind of bird do you think lays eggs like that? Whoa! Now look at this giant egg in the person's hand. It looks fake, but it's not. There's actually a bird that lays eggs bigger than your hand. Any idea what it is? The brown and white eggs up here in the corner look like the eggs I get at the grocery store. I think I know what kind of bird laid those. All right, I put the answers on top of each of the photos. The blue eggs are from a bird called a robin. You might have robins in your backyard. The speckled eggs over here are actually from a quail, which you can see right here in this picture. Quail eggs are smaller than chicken eggs, and this photo shows the comparison in size. So this is a regular chicken egg, and this is a quail egg. The brown and white eggs up here are from a chicken, and they're the ones that we usually get at the grocery store and eat or cook with. We're going to learn a lot more about these eggs this week. Also, the only reason that sometimes those eggs are brown and other times they're white is the color of the mother chicken or the hen. Brown hens lay brown eggs and white hens lay white eggs. Inside, they're exactly the same, and if you eat them, they taste exactly the same too. All right, this giant egg right here, that's from a bird called an ostrich. An ostrich is so big it can't fly, but it can run really fast. Its eggs are big because the baby birds that come out are big. So what exactly do you think is inside an egg? A bird's egg has different parts, and each part has its own purpose. The very outside of the egg is the shell. The shell protects the developing chick inside, but it also has teeny tiny holes in it, so small that you can't really see them. But those holes allow air to flow in and out through the egg to help the baby chick breathe. Inside that hard outer shell is another layer of protection, and it's very soft, called a membrane. It's soft and squishy, but it still helps protect everything inside. If you crack open a raw egg, there's a bunch of clear, sticky stuff that kind of looks like clear jelly. That's called albumin. When you boil an egg, the albumin turns white and it becomes solid. People sometimes call that the egg whites. And there's the word albumin. The big orange part we've all seen before is the yolk. Lots of people actually think the yolk is what would have been the chick, but it's not. The yolk never would have become a chick. The yolk actually has a super cool job. It's the chick's food. A baby chick can't eat regular food the way adult chicks would, or adult chickens, and it can't eat like that while it's inside the egg. But it's still alive and it has to eat. So the yolk is its food. It gives it all the nutrients it needs while it's developing. People like to eat the egg yolks too. Do you see that little black dot labeled germinal disc? If a chicken egg is actually ready to grow a baby chick, that germinal disc is what grows and grows and becomes the baby chick. The eggs we eat never would have grown a baby chick at all. Chickens lay eggs no matter what, but if the eggs are not kept at exactly the right temperature in just the right place, they'll never grow a baby inside at all. And that's what happens to the eggs that we eat and use for cooking. Last, we have this space right here called the air space or air cell. That's almost like a little bubble filled with air. It gives the chick extra air to breathe. Now, let's look at a raw egg together and see if we can find all of these parts. All right, let's crack open a raw egg and see if we can find the different parts that we just talked about. Obviously, on the outside is the shell that is hard and protective, and I cracked it. On the inside, you can see right there, that little white flappy piece. That is a piece, I can peel it off. That is a piece of the internal membrane. So that's the other protective layer that's inside the shell, but it's soft. That's the membrane. And then, of course, we have the yolk. And in this egg, I do not see any of the chalaza, the little rope that holds it into the shell. But this this clear kind of jelly stuff here, remember what that's called? That's the albumin. And then the yolk, which is the food for the baby chick, if there was a baby chick. The yolk actually has a very thin membrane on top of it as well. That's why it stays in a solid shape, even though it's not really solid. And you can tell if I poke it, it starts to run out because it's sort of liquidy inside. And that's the yolk. I do not see any of the chalaza. Sometimes you can see the little ropey pieces. This one does not have one. All right, pretty cool. Remember that a chicken is a bird, so its life cycle is like the other birds we talked about last week. The adult female chicken, which we call a hen, lays an egg. Inside the egg, a baby chick begins to form. We call that baby inside the egg an embryo. An embryo is just a baby animal that hasn't hatched or been born yet. It's still developing. After 21 days, which is 3 weeks, the egg hatches and out comes a tiny baby chicken, which we call a chick. The chick grows feathers, gets bigger, and slowly looks more and more like its parents. And eventually, if it's a female, it will lay an egg, and that life cycle will start all over again. In nature, a mother hen lays eggs and then sits on them in a nest. Her body is very warm, so the eggs stay very warm. The baby embryo inside can't grow and develop unless it is exactly the right temperature. When people want to watch eggs grow and change, they sometimes use a box called an incubator. You put the eggs inside and close it up, and then turn on the little heater that's up on top, and you can see that in this picture. It takes 21 days, or the same as 3 weeks, for the chicks to hatch. There's something else people have to do if they put eggs in an incubator, though. They actually have to turn the eggs upside down several times a day. Why do you think people would need to do that? In nature, the mother hen uses her beak to flip the eggs over several times. This helps the baby inside grow correctly, and so it doesn't get stuck in the same position, and so it can reach the food inside from the yolk. We'll talk more about that soon. There is a college in the state of Nebraska, and they take care of chicken eggs in an incubator over and over and over throughout the year. They also keep a camera on the incubator the whole time, and people can go to their website and watch what's happening. I watched it a few days ago when they put new eggs in the incubator, and I recorded it so you all could watch too. I'll do it again so you can keep watching the progress, or you can check the link that your teacher posts in your plans for today, and you can also go there and watch it yourself. Let's go ahead and watch the first step. Hey everybody. I am making a recording today of a website and a screen where they're doing something that we would have been doing if we were still at school. And since we can't do this together in class in person, I feel like this is the next best thing, and it's a chance for you still to get to see it. So this is a website that is made by the University of Nebraska, a state far away from where North Carolina is. And it allows you to actually watch eggs kind of develop over time and eventually hatch into chicks. So we'll get to see this. The easiest way for you to find this website, I think, is if you want to do this and watch from home, you can go to Google and you can type up there where the website is. You can type in, Nebraska Egg Cam. So it's like a camera on the eggs from Nebraska. And if I hit enter, the very first one that shows up says live cam. And that's the 4-H egg cam. That's the right one. So I'm going to click that. And there's that website. And this is a little bit later. This is actually live right now. I am going to go back from a few hours ago when this first started today. If you look over here on the dates, it says chicken eggs set in incubator Wednesday, May 13th. I am actually recording this today, May 13th. You're going to watch this in a few days, but I'm recording it on that day. So this box here in the video, or in the screen, is called an incubator, and it keeps the eggs really warm and kind of humid, which means there's some extra water in the air. And so the environment for the eggs is a lot like it would be if the mother hen were sitting on them. So it kind of makes it feel like that. And there's a little motor back here, a heater, and it plugs into the wall and it helps keep that box warm and humid inside. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. This was live a few hours ago today, so I'm actually going back. They took the lid off and put that, there's a yellow tray at the bottom with holes for the eggs. And if you watch here, they are setting all the eggs inside those little holes very gently. So there they go. And we'll keep moving ahead. So they put the lid back on, and this is the heater, and it shows you all the eggs. And it's just going to keep them at exactly the right temperature and the right amount of humid air, so it would be as if they were sitting under the mother hen, the way that they would do in nature. And this camera is just going to keep pointing at this incubator of eggs for a few weeks. Notice there's a thermometer over here that tells them how warm it is inside, and they can turn the heater a little bit warmer or a little cooler if it's not just right. Next Tuesday on May 19th, and this says 1 o'clock, but it says CT. That's the time it is in Nebraska. In North Carolina, that is actually at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So next Tuesday, May 19th at 2 o'clock, you can come to this website and watch this live camera, and they're going to do something called candling. That's where they actually hold a light up to one of the eggs, and you can kind of see through the shell and see the baby chick inside starting to grow and change and develop. Then they're going to do it again on Tuesday, May 26th at the same time, 2 o'clock in North Carolina where we are. And you'll get to see how it's changed. If you look at them, they will show it next Tuesday and again the next Tuesday, and you'll see how the little baby chick inside is changing and developing. That's really cool. I will try my best to be on here and do another recording. So if you miss it live, you can watch it when your teacher links it. Then right here, they are estimating, if you look right there, they think these eggs will all hatch into baby chicks somewhere right around Tuesday, June 2nd or Wednesday, June 3rd. Here is exactly what's going on inside a chicken egg each day while it's under the mother hen or in the incubator. It's pretty amazing. It's amazing what happens each and every day and how fast the little animal develops. But it's also amazing that scientists have studied chickens and learned exactly what happens each day. The chicks inside the incubator we watched just a few minutes ago are now right around day 8. So they have everything that's on this list. On Friday, I'll go over the next few days of changes, and then next week we'll watch a really cool video that shows what it looks like when it's happening. So, day 1, the day that they put the eggs in the incubator, the vertebrae form, that's like the backbones. And then the circulatory, nervous, and digestive systems form. The circulatory is the blood vessel, so that's what helps make the blood go through the baby chicken. Nervous system is your nerves, what helps you feel. And the digestive system is what helps you eat and digest food. So all of that forms in the baby chicken on day 1. Day 2, they get eyes and ears. That membrane, the soft protective layer, forms so it doesn't stick to the shell. And its little heartbeat starts to beat. That's pretty awesome. By days 3 and 4, its little legs and wings and lungs form. Its tongue, its esophagus, which is the tube down its throat, kidneys, large intestines, and it begins the embryo, the baby, separates from the yolk sac. So now the baby is in its own spot, and the yolk sac is what it eats is in a different spot in the egg. By days 5 and 6, you can start to see its little beak, and it starts to move with voluntary movements. That means it can choose. It can actually choose to, lift its wing or lift its head up and down. Then the next few days, the comb, which is the part on top of the chicken's head, that forms a little tiny, it's not actually a tooth, but a little part of a beak forms that will help it break out of the shell later. And his little fingers and toes all start to form. The mouth opening appears, and feather tracks, which are like the little bumps where the feathers will grow out of later, those start to appear, and the beak gets harder. So those eggs that we saw in the video, doesn't look like much is happening, but inside them, all of that stuff has happened in these past basically 8 days. That's pretty amazing. I hope you learned a lot today about how baby birds develop. Why don't you go get a piece of paper now and draw a chicken's life cycle? Or draw a nest of eggs or some baby birds. Maybe you could actually draw an egg and try to label all the different parts. Any of those things would be a great way to help your brain remember all of this new information. Also remember that springtime is when a lot of birds have their babies. So if you spend some time outdoors, you might be able to find evidence of this. Maybe you can find a bird nest, maybe some baby birds or some broken eggshells on the ground. Here are a few tips if you find any of those things. If you find eggs on the ground that look like they fell out of a nest, it's actually okay to very carefully pick them up and put them back in the nest. It's a myth, which means it's not true, that a mama bird won't take care of the babies if she smells humans on them. It's not actually true. So you can help by just setting the eggs back in the nest. If you find a nest of baby birds, feel free to look, but then walk away and leave them alone so the mother won't be too scared to come back and feed them. If you find broken eggshells, that means the bird's all done with the eggshells and you can pick them up. Just wash your hands when you're done because there could be germs or even diseases on them. Thanks for joining me today for Science Time. Let's do it again Friday. Bye, friends.